Hey there, welcome back to the Atrocraft Satisfactory Megabase project. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be watching a unscripted video where we go over my design process for building compact industrial skids. We're going to go over their design, we're going to build a full blueprint, and then we're going to install it and test it. So forgive me if you have to put up with some ums and ahs. This is the first time I'm doing a full unscripted video. But I guess without further ado, let's get right into it. What is a skid? Let's take a look around. Each one of these self-contained blocks I call a skid. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm making a black box device where I'm containing a bunch of complex operations in one contained package. So this one is a unbottling skid. Brings bottles of water up from the subfloor of my Parthenon factory here and unbottles them into piped water, which is then used throughout the rest of the base here. So I can eliminate the head lift penalties that way. At the cost of a lot of power, bottling didn't quite turn out to be worth it in this case in the end, but that's a different discussion entirely. So anyway, let's look around at a few more. This is actually two skids. So this is compacted coal and then fine black powder. So the one item is used by the other, which makes it very convenient to place on top of each other. And then the design also, allows you to stack. The refinery skids are a lot simpler, just one floor, and it's pretty much how you would do this on the ground, except I put them on the frame there to make it a little easier. These they're blueprinted as blocks of 4, and I just tie them together into continuous skids. This floor has a lot more of the stacked kind of skids. There's quick wire. I think a few of these are quick wire. And then also fused wire, cable, stators, and rotors all stacked right up in one, right? So you can think if you were doing this on one floor, how much space that would take up. But here, not so much. And this also makes testing a ton easier, because you just, provide what the labeled input is, and then test for the labeled output, and then you know if you're good, right? If the number is high, it just means it's backed up and needs to run through for a little bit longer. If it's low, then you need to do a little more checking inside the skid to figure out exactly what's going on there. But anyway, let's start building one. We'll build a little Alclad producer just because I can steal the resources from right here, right, to test and everything. So let's go over and we'll go through the whole process. And yeah. All right. So we'll start with a frame base. This keeps, everything nice off the ground. It defines the size of it immediately, and then we'll build around it with more frames and everything like, you know, the other one shown. So these are going to be assemblers. Now, I think technically we can fit 5, but we're not going to do that. We're going to leave a little bit of space, and then we're going to make 4 on each. So let's go to the center. May have to nudge a little bit. Let's try to nudge. Come on. There we go. Alright, and we'll go right to the corner of that, the center line here, and then 1/2 of a foundation in. Another important thing is to build yourself a permanent blueprint maker area, like the one I have here, right? Because you are going to need it and you're going to use it. It's better just to place it down and, oh man, see, these are too tight. So yeah, place it down, and then that'll help you think about solving problems with blueprints more than just, than not, right? Oof, that is tight. That was the back bar right to the edge of the bar in the frame. Alright, it looks like that's the minimum size that they can be. Let's just make sure that these are able to connect. Alright. Well, and that's what they need to be then. Now, I like to chromify all of these, so and then the ones that connect these, I generally don't color just because the orange standing out helps me identify when they're not there, and that'll be a common troubleshooting issue that you'll come across when putting the, you know, when commissioning these. You'll just have forgot one somewhere, and it's just kind of the way it is. So let's see. Let's just see if a power pole is too high. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we won't use power poles here. We'll use the wall power outlet, and then we'll just put it to the ceiling of the next floor there. So we need. Let's program these also while we're here. Paste, paste. paste, and paste. Okay. So let's do 600 a minute out, right? So 600 a minute divided by 30 is 20, right? And we have 8 per floor, so we'll have 3 floors, and which will make for 24, and then we'll just underclock it on the other skid, or the skid once it's built out in the field, right? I wouldn't put the underclocking into the blueprint because you may want to use this in a different application, so it's pretty much best that they're at 100% clock speed in the blueprint, and then you adjust them afterward. At least I think so. So let's go here. We'll just call this temp. Save over the temp that I already have there. And let's go back up here to our little balcony. Find that temp blueprint again. We have to find a spot where it places nicely. And yeah, we want them going the same way. So that way. There we go. Now you're absolutely going to have to nudge this into place. So first we'll overlap and then take it up until that first notch where it's yellow. We'll see where that is. If that's a good spot, a little bit of clipping, but there's always going to be a little bit of clipping with these skids, right? We are trying to make them as compact as possible. Beautiful. See, it's not quite aligning there, which makes me feel like it wasn't quite on the grid. There we go. So you see how it's kind of snapped into a grid there. There it is. So once they're totally overlapping that it's on the same grid, and it'll line up with the other ones once you go to connect them all. And first yellow. All right, beautiful. '24. The outputs are going the same way, right? All right. Nice. Love it. Love it, love it. Now, connecting. Let's find a spot. Maybe right here. Beautiful. Let's find a spot to put our... We'll use the Mark III to make it easier. And we can connect the entire floor into one. In some spots, the wire is clipping through, the machines. I mean, if that drives you crazy, you can fix that as much as you want to, but my experience is that once these are in, you only really care that they work, right? You're never going to look in here again. But, you know, like I said, if that's not the case for you, or you think it's not going to be the case for you, then you can fix it so nothing clips until you realize that you don't care anymore. And then you'll be like me. All right. Connect top to bottom here, or first floor to second. Let me out. All right, now this one we'll use the power pole because we're going to leave it exposed. You could build a roof to this, you know. If you were expecting to place something else, you would just put another floor right on top and then enclose the entire thing, and then you'd be able to stack it some more. Alright, let's do it that way. Let's do it that way, just to show you. Because I think it would be pretty obvious what not enclosed would be like, right? So I think that's the height that the rest of them are on. Yeah. It just partially covers that motor on the top, which is what we have there. Nope. I thought that looked a little weird. There we go. And now the activation indicators will just get crushed, or in your head canon they can, you know, you can say that they were removed, right? So which one? It was on that one right there, right? Good. Come on, you gonna let me through? There we go. There we go. Now they're all connected all the way throughout. Now with this output side, what I like to do is yeah, here we go. Merger. Yeesh, that one might be an issue. You know, and then you can't nudge these either, can you? Yeah, because then it says it's not built on a lift, which sucks. Ugh. If anyone knows how to nudge these, I would really appreciate it, because that would be perfect. But instead, I think we may have to rebuild it. Yeah. It's always an issue I come into with these designs, so... What we'll do instead is we will... Oh, come the... See, it snaps to the side, right? And then you can't nudge it unless you do this. There we go. Okay. Still no. Oh, you're killing me. And that's right at the edge too, isn't it? This side will fit. Yeah, it will. No, damn it. See if it'll even let me build it on the edge there. Yeah, okay, it does. It does. Some things you can overlap the blueprint maker just a little bit, like, for instance, these mergers. It seems like their hitbox is on the inside edge here, right? It's only the size of that. Like a belt hole or a belt floor hole opening. Okay. There we go. Now that's weird, right? Because the last time it was the center one that wouldn't line up. Now it's the top. Whatever. Whatever. Sometimes you just gotta throw your hands up and say, oh well. There we go. So now that's the output of 3 floors. Connected up. Chromified. And then brought back down to the output. So we'll keep the inputs and outputs all together in this one space here. If we can. Hopefully we can. And then the rest of them are going to be kind of the same deal. So I may have screwed myself because I didn't check if they'd line up first. These are splitters. Yep. Yep, we're boned. That. So that floor lines up. So let's just see if this will work. There we go. That works. You know what? Maybe that would work for the other side, too. I think I may have just learned something new here. I think we may have just learned something new. Let's take this up to there. Wow, Christmas miracle. It lines up perfectly now. Okay. So now let's redo this whole lift. So, to recap what we're seeing here, let's get rid of these. Replace this first one. It fits. Yeah. The second one will not. But if we delete this section, then come out of here again and try to replace it, it does. Don't ask me why. It's one of those things, but it works. Except that's not gonna work now. Damn it. How about right there? There we go. There it is. So that's out. This will be supplying. That is 1, 2 down. Yeesh. You know, that doesn't look right. Why doesn't that look right? Because that doesn't look right. Huh. Okay. There we go. There we go. Now, there, 1, 2 down. Beautiful. So throughout this section and the one that follows, there were several mistakes made. Basically, the issue is that the foundation frame is half a meter instead of one full one. So when you lift it up, there was that 0.5 difference, and that messes everything up, especially, you know, when you're trying to put in splitters and they only snap at 1 meter increments. So to work around that, we had to place the lifts down several times and, you know, basically just keep trying until one actually worked. So some of this we'll fast forward through and some of it we'll leave because it does show how to work through these problems. Now for this one, it's the second one that doesn't fit, so I mean, who knows? Okay. There's our issue. See, when you build on these frames, it'll either snap to the floor under it or the top of the frame, which we want. Yeah, so you have to make sure that this will fit, and it's not. Try it the other way. With this going into there. That's failing because it's overlapping. So let's try this. This section here is a lot more of the same. It's just placing down lifts, realizing they're in the wrong spot, deleting them, putting them back, doing the same with splitters, doing the same with belts. So let's hurry this up and we'll get to the rest of it. Let's just take a second to make sure all of these are in and connected. Or no, not with this one. The angle we won't make that angle with a belt, so we'll have to come out straight. What the hell? Oh. Never mind, it's a splitter, so it comes out that way anyway. So that's fine, we can just take it off of this side instead of the other. Okay. Okay. 3. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And since this is going to be a nightmare on the other side, we'll deal with that too. Of course. Did get all the lifts, right? Oh, over here. We got some to do. Yep. Chrome color. Oh, we gotta connect one. Looks like we have to connect more than one. Shit. Alright, good. Yeah, always check that all these are connected, because you will miss some. Beautiful. Beautiful. What in the hell is that? Are you kidding me? This one won't connect now? Yeah, it'll connect, but it wants to do that. That looks terrible. So much for that trick working, huh? Alright, let's try this one more time. Man, that's rough. It's not doing it there, though. Just here. These lifts are always a freaking pain. Yeah, let's try one in like that. There we go. Now if it doesn't line up perfectly, it has the space it needs. Don't tell me the whole thing's backwards. God damn it. So yeah, like I said, don't get frustrated. Just deal, right? There we go. Remember, if you use middle mouse click to select an item, it does take the coloring over with it. So that's one of the ways to... Actually, I think it might be the only way to paint with the... or build with the color that you want first, right? Instead of having to do it before or after the fact. All right. So that is the one side totally done. Now the other side is a lot more of the same. This side is a little bit difficult because you have to kind of refigure out exactly where these lifts and splitters go to make them align perfectly. But at this point, it's nothing you haven't seen before, so let's speed through it and get right to testing. Splitters. Beautiful. All right. Let's do some coloring real quick. Of course, you know, you have the coloring filter available to you. Hit G, I think it is. The keyboard I use doesn't have labels on the keys. So it's hard to... I have to look at my labeled keyboard to be sure. But it was the only way I learned how to touch type, you know. I would always wind up looking All right. And these. These all colored, all colored. Not all colored. There we go. All colored now. Okay. Now what we have to do is get these connected. Oof. It's tight. It's very tight. Man. There's that damn power connection that's gonna make these clip a bunch, but really not much we can do about it right now, so. Huh. There, that's how I want it to connect. There we go. All right. All colored, all chromified. Beautiful. Beautiful. So now these are all connected. You can see there is some clipping there, but it's not very noticeable, right? Like there's the power connection, but once this is enclosed, you will never ever see it. Alright, so now what I like to do is build in some more frames. Now let's just see what this looks like, and we'll decide if we want to use the frame foundation or not. Oof. Yeah, see that? I think to get it to line up perfectly, we'll have to... Yeah, there we go. So that makes some more clipping issues like right here and whatnot. But it also kind of looks like the frame is welded to a lot of these. You know, like it's integrated into the structure of the frame, so. That all moves too, doesn't it? Alright, let's try the wall, and we'll see if the wall looks a little better. The skid is so dense. Oh, come on. Wall and then soup, yeah. Yeah, I think the wall is the way to go on this one. So then we won't have the issues with clipping through the belts and stuff, because that's what, you know, really causes an eyesore when you start seeing things going through, you know, solid steel and shit. Right. Now just the other side here. You have to be really conscious of which sides you're lining up with and which side you're clipping through, right? For instance, this top row is lined up with the bottom of the floor frame, whereas this row kind of, the second floor kind of clips through. All right. That's all sealed up. Look at that. Nice big block. Okay. Now, labeling. Labeling is very important. Oh man, look at that, huh? Well, you know, even if I moved it over, there would be this one going through, so I'm not really going to go nuts over that. The way I like to do the labeling is I like to have one sign for just the icon of what it is, and one sign that shows the per minute value. Alright. Use that. Outclad sheet. Yes. Select. Yes. I'll copy it over just to save a step. Now the next two can be either one. So I think the way I have it over on the other side, it's copper first. And then here it is. Okay. Oh, damn it. Per minute. That. Copy it over. And now for the mathematicals. So these are 30 times 20. 30 times 24. 720. And then 240 for the copper. 240. 720. Beautiful. Okay. Now this skid appears to be done. 720. We'll save it. I like to double tap just to be sure. And then clear it. Because you turn around, it almost gives you a little panic attack that all the work that you did just disappears, but it's still there. It's just in the blueprint maker. So alright, now let's head over and tie it all together. So since this is going to be just a temporary setup, we don't have to be too concerned with exactly how it is going to tie together. Let me in. All right. See if I can get back out of here. There we go. So now let's do some stealing here. All right. Let me just get this totally hooked up first before I connect that last bit. We'll set up the sink to test, and we will put a conveyor throughput tester right here, maybe right here, so we can see the value as it comes in. Right, and this is how we test. It's always important to test, right? We have to make sure that the skid is actually doing what we say it is. Being producing 720 a minute. And also remember that we said that we were going to downgrade this to 600 a minute. So let's do that now. Because when you do your plan, you don't want to be overproducing and allowing some machines to steal production from others, right? So say I had this outclad machine here, and then down the line from the copper ingots I had a copper sheet producer. I wouldn't want this one to be able to steal material that should be going to the other one. So the max numbers are very important. So let's say this is 24 machines to do 720 a minute. 600 a minute is 20 machines, right? So we do 20 divided by 24, 0.83 repeating. We'll get the same number if we do 600 divided by 720, because the ratios are the same. 0.83 repeating. So what we do is come here. We'll make this clock speed 8 3.3333. Beautiful. Now copy and paste these to all the machines. Alright. Now, just as important is change the labeling. Okay. So, this now needs to be 200, and then 600. Beautiful. Oh. There we go. Now let's watch. That number will keep rising because it checks for the total quantity over an entire minute. All right. See, this indicates an issue. So let's see where it is. That low number means somewhere there's machines not running. So if we watch, we can't see the indicators, but we can see, oh, I see one right here, not going. So what in the hell is going on with this one? See, it appears that this one is not connected. Sometimes just reconnecting it works. Sometimes it's hard, you know. Oh, yep. And it sucks because that's not something you could ever test for on the blueprint maker, right? Yeah, it has to be after it's finished. See, look, we have another one. Which one was it? This one. It's the copper on this side. It's just not passing through. So what we do is we'll get rid of that. See, now that really sucks because that's not lining up anymore. Oof. And it's not passing down to that one either, so maybe we can solve both of those issues, the misalignment and this too. So, yeah, it's still not lining up perfect. Don't you hate that? Sometimes you have to go all the way down to the bottom and redo it. It just sucks, but it's just the way. The game is not exactly perfect with some of this stuff. And especially when you're trying to make the skids really tight. You can, it can fight you. For sure. Alright, so that lines up perfect this time. That's good. That was the old belt, which I know is not connected, so. You have to be careful about that sort of thing sometimes. There we go. Now that's feeding all the way down and in. Good. Good, good. All right. So that's the one side is perfectly good and running now. This side appears to be running too, or at least that floor is. Yep, every machine on that floor and every machine on that floor. Okay. So now let's go back and look. And look at that. Perfect. And that'll fluctuate, you know, between 590 and 610, and that's fine. And it just reads over a minute, and different machines will, you know, sometimes it'll sync up and the number will go high, and sometimes it can, they can just be producing way off in different spurts, so that's it. So that skid is done. The last thing that I like to do is, well, let's take this one. I like to slap a nice, huge label on it with what it is and what it does. So outclad at 600 a minute. Beautiful. And that's it. Okay, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. Please let me know if I didn't explain something or didn't elaborate on a specific thing. Please let me know down in the comments, and we can go over that either here or, you know, in another video if that's warranted. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. It really does make a big difference. And also comment and like, and check me out on Twitch where all this happens live. So thanks everyone. We'll see you in the next one.